Welcome back to Inclusive Design 24 2019, brought to you in partnership with our gold supporters, Barclays Access and Intopia. Don't forget, you can subscribe to Inclusive Design 24 on YouTube by visiting youtube.com/inclusivedesign24 and hitting the subscribe button. You can also follow ID24Conf on Twitter, and if you have questions for the presenters, tweet them using the ID24 hashtag, and we'll ask them at the end of the session. ID24 is a respectful community with a code of conduct available on our website.
And next up, we have Peter Shickley, and this is their presentation called Jailhouse Rock. Over to you, Peter.
Peter, if you're talking, we can't hear you yet.
Hello. Hello.
There we go. There we go. We have you now. Thank you, Peter.
Oh, now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I'm going to try it again to put this over to the conference thing. Hello, can you still hear me?
We can.
Good. Okay, so we have ignition. We are presenting from the Coffee Creek Correctional Facility, which is a state prison for women in the state of Oregon in the U.S. And we're going to be telling you about a type of inaccessibility that I guess is somewhat self-imposed, but it's still very real in terms of the internet. So we're calling it Jailhouse Rock, and what we're going to be telling you is what this particular type of inaccessibility is all about. So internet accessibility is, within a correctional facility. I'm synchronizing some of the things that we'll be saying. It's so internet accessibility, within a correctional facility is kind of a slow-moving machine. Although there are several institutions across the nation that have started to implement restricted access for educational purposes, it's still a taboo for the Department of Corrections for their security that inmates have this type of accessibility for reasons such as access to the outside, contraband, contact to their previous criminal elements, escape, safety, and contacting the victims, things like that. Let's see if this thing will advance. I have to click here. So we'd like to show you the day-to-day needs for adults in custody. That's what we call inmates, and how transitioning and staying current with internet access can allow inmates to pursue education and the challenges that they face, and how incarcerated women are affected personally, and how Access to Online, which is our company, is addressing accessibility, and lastly, how overcoming the barriers of accessibility and the way it's being used within our Coffee Creek prison to manage the restrictions, and why it's important to have this technology. Why this thing will not go to the next slide.
The right arrow key on your keyboard.
Yeah, let's try that to next. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Okay, so the limitations, implementing what it can be, and let's see, let's go to the next one. Wonderful. No, my mouse doesn't work. Okay. Okay, so what we have is there are several options available for our women inmates to stay current without full internet access. One thing is they can use these tablets, with a couple of restricted internet apps for viewing news and entertainment. There are personal computers with outdated software used for maintaining computer skills, educational learning, and GED testing. There's an intranet system that is used at the Department of Motor Vehicles facility within the prison where their workers get some level of internet access. Inmates sometimes have access to recorded webinars for learning and research purposes. And for a fee, inmates can have a video visit on their kiosks provided with their loved ones, and text messaging is available on the kiosks. The inmates have MP3 or MP4 devices and on the tablets for a fee, a rather expensive fee, if I may add. Inmates can pay to view from a small selection of movies on their tablets. Facilitated teleconferences in a work-related environment with a supervisor, the inmate analyst, and a client, which is somewhat what we're doing right now. I'm operating the internet-based computer, and they're all gathered around here, unable, according to prison rules, to touch the mouse or the keyboard. So, and then they also get magazine or newspaper articles or other resources an inmate may need mailed to the facility. So what we're doing is we're adapting, as Webster says, to adjust or become adjusted to a specific use or situation. And our presentation today and any conversations to follow are generated out of the need for correctional and rehabilitative facilities to provide a progressive and substantial role in an inmate's integration back into our communities. This lends to stopping the ripple effect of damage created by incarceration in the first place. Change cannot be accomplished without a transition, and enabling inmates to have the tools to succeed, such as increased access to the internet and education, can only assist in that forward momentum of transitioning them back into lawful society and ending that cycle of limited choices that has haunted them. So here we explain the common situations needing resources for projects or education. In a project, all available resources needed to be quickly and correctly facilitated through multiple means. Internet access is one of the fastest and most expedited way to gain research that is crucial for documentation, verifying quotes, and or developing a thesis. So gathering photographs, art, images, and or graphics that enhance and enrich work and school projects or presentations are to a great extent more available online. So inmates developing projects or presentations or working on special events always have to depend on staff to get the important resources that can finish or affect the timeline of a project using that shoulder surfing that we mentioned earlier. So, accessibility issues pertaining to the internet. Well, it is a detriment when the software is continually updating, and it's crucial to stay current. Online help is not an option, and even if a manual is available, that's not being updated automatically either. So online features to access additional resources or websites are helpful when prompted by the software itself or the internet. It's not available. So tutorials can be paramount when not understanding the process of certain aspects within the software, and how-tos are mutually important as tutorials. So how inaccessibility to the internet hinders the process for inmates to prepare for a career beyond bars. Here's just a few common situations when using offline software. So, gathering information for research is greatly limited to the correctional facility's library, this education library, or an inmate's personal resources. So, national or world news, weather information is severely limited to television programming or personal newspaper subscriptions, and this does not allow inmates to stay current on events that may affect their family members. So, minimal availability to computers for inmates and zero with internet access limits the ability to stay current with their computer and internet skills. So, without internet access, an inmate is ignorant to the continually changing of the world around them. Inmates that are eligible for parole but have no prior internet skills may have trouble gaining employment and transitioning into that outside world. So inmates who have no friends or family on the outside to aid in their paroling by locating food, clothing, and other immediate services online for them miss out on yet another needed resource. So what we're going to do now is accounts from the inside is we're going to have an auditory and visual representation, I guess, of that first-hand personal accounts of the women analysts here at Access to Online and their experiences from past to future. They're going to express their concerns for the current tasks they're mastering or have yet to be introduced to, and how it has changed their lives and the daily exposures to limited internet access and how it affects their maneuverability and day-to-day functions that otherwise could literally be at their fingertips. So let's look at this wonderful eye candy that's being produced by our analysts here. And there's a little snippet of a movie I think we're going to show now, if it works. This was an experiment, as you can tell. This is correct. Yeah, I turned off the computer volume because otherwise it would feed back with the phone. So what we're going to do is we have Mercedes Alvarado, and she has something to say.
As an inmate with clear conduct, I am allowed to participate in the craft program here at the facility. When looking at craft catalogs received by mail, I often get ideas on what I'd like to make next. For a project, you are given a list of everything you will need, but there are certain items that are not pictured in the catalog provided. Although we have limited internet access on the tablets provided, the craft program sites are not available to us. Therefore, to place a craft order for the items for which I can't see, I would have to call home and have my family try looking up order numbers for those items. There are many adults in custody here that participate in the craft program and experience the same accessibility issues that I do. I know that if the online catalogs were made available to us on the tablets or kiosks, then there would be an increase in sales for the companies and a positive exposure to internet technology for many inmates who may not have had it.
Okay, as you can tell, she prepared her presentation because some of us here are a little more camera shy than others, but we'll have the opportunity to ask questions at the end. So now we have another analyst inmate here who has something to say. Miss Paige Couch.
Before my incarceration, I used my iPhone for work-related correspondence when away from the office and for ensuring deadlines and commitments were closed. My at-home PC was utilized to keep track of personal budgeting, paying bills, communication with my children's teachers, online school, and some of my shopping that had to be done on the fly with technology. Of course, as an inmate, the ability to perform many of these tasks are non-existent due to the limited access to the internet. However, I have been fortunate enough to secure a position at Access to Online where I've been given the opportunity to stay current with computer software and tools used for remediation. The lack of internet access will always pose as a disadvantage for some people with disabilities, as it does inmates, and working for Access to Online has opened my eyes to how accessibility is not only crucial for inmates, but just as importantly for those with disabilities. This makes my work rewarding and substantial.
Okay, and now we're going to hear from Miss Marisol Sedano.
Prior to my incarceration, I was contracted to work for America Online as a telemarketer. My exposure to the internet was significant, to say the least. It was not a new thing for me. What was new for me was learning how to live without it as an adult in custody. Internet access just makes it easier to stay informed and in touch with our loved ones. Luckily, we are provided with Android tablets and sit-down kiosk stations where we can text, post and view pictures, and have video visits. I do all of the above. It's the fastest way we have so far as inmates. My work at Access to Online as a quality assurance analyst makes me realize how certain internet content can be inaccessible to others, whereas before it was not something that I thought about. So you could say that this career has made me aware and proud of my contribution to helping others.
Okay, just so you know, they each individually wrote what they're reading to you. This is not something we've asked them to produce. This is their own personal feelings on the subject. And so, and now we have Ruby McCrory.
Before my arrest, I was constantly on the internet, working or researching things for my clients and myself. Here, I have been shut off from that access. Once in a while, I can have family look things up for me, but not often. As far as work is concerned, I still get to interact with the computer, which helps keep my skills sharp. I am constantly learning about new tools in the form of computer software that help make documents and web pages accessible. My job with Access to Online can come with me when I parole. I look forward to being a telecommuter.
Okay, and now we have a few words from Miss Wawona Rossiter.
Before incarceration, I paid my bills, kept track of my finances, researched things that were important to me, and stayed connected to my friends all online. Currently, it is difficult to keep track of my finances, check on the status of my appeal, craft orders, etc. Any information that I do receive in the form of printed monthly statements or posted digital balances through the kiosk or tablets may not be current or accurate. Being unable to stay connected online with my friends socially isolates me from most of my busy friends and family. I have to ask them to access information for me when they have time. This is limiting my access to information, but it is better than nothing at all.
Okay, and now we hear from Miss Lydia Way.
Before my incarceration, I either had to take computer classes at a community college for a fee or try to pay attention when at a different person's house to try to learn it over their shoulder. I did not have a computer at my house growing up, so practicing on my own or at the county library was all I had. Now, working here, I get my fill of information related to the latest technology so that we can make items accessible at every level.
Okay, it seems to be wanting to go to the next person. There we are. with Miss Ashley Summers.
After several years of living as an inmate, I found the experience of communicating with family by phone to be a slow process. Every phone call requires the input of at least 20 digits and a holding time, where you then hope that someone picks up. In cases of emergencies or special occasions, this method of communication is simply complex. With the introduction of kiosks and Android tablets, I am now able to text. This allows my family and I to communicate instantly. I feel that learning how to text is also a practical skill for me to have gained, since it's similar to phone texting. I'm fortunate to work for Access to Online here at the correctional facility, where I've been learning how computers and networks work, and so much more.
Okay, and now comes Miss Angela Judd.
Before incarceration, I was very self-reliant when it came to using the internet. I performed my banking transactions, employment assignments, research, and of course, social media, all using the internet. Not being able to utilize the internet now as an inmate is both frustrating and infuriating at times. I have to rely on outside help from my family if I need internet information. I know this is a burden for them because they all have busy lives, and taking the time to do this for me may be bothersome. Presently, my work at Access to Online has not yet exposed me to any internet-related situations, such as shoulder surfing on the boss's computer. I have mainly been remediating PDF documents, but it is nice to know that my work helps others to read accessible PDFs that they may find on our client's website. I would like to see internet access for inmates broadened, including a restricted or limited internet that would allow for research, online education, and/or degrees would be ideal.
Well done. Okay, so at this point, what I'd like to do is say a few words about Access to Online. That's the business that we do, and they've referred to it. And what we do here is we've got 15 inmate analysts who've been trained on accessibility. Some of them are trusted testers certified by the Office of Accessible Systems and Technology. Web accessibility specialists certified by the International Association of Accessible Professionals. And they've got, a couple years of experience doing this. So they have become a rather formidable team through, let's say, the task management system on the slide, and through fixed price contracts we've won from government agencies to either do audits on their online presence, their websites, or to actually remediate the huge amounts of PDF documents that they're trying to make accessible. So these are analysts who have become rather conversant and, in fact, leading edge in many areas, overcoming those barriers that you heard about regarding accessibility, in that they did all that without live internet access. We make copies of the websites they're going to audit. This task management system makes it so that I'm the only one who actually communicates real time with the customers, but they do get their tasks, they get the tasks done, and they are building themselves, earning themselves a skill set with a future. When they release, they are going to be analysts earning a decent pay, instead of wondering what will happen to them when they walk out of these doors. So, what we do is, and that's kind of the eTaskboard tool that you're talking about. It's we have the tutorials, the hands-on training, and this eTaskboard tool that you saw the earlier slide on. It allows to circumnavigate the internet by giving these accessibility tasks to the analysts working for Access to Online that are directly linked to clients, with me managing that communication protocol. So the interaction is communicated between the supervisor and the analyst, and once a deliverable has been completed, then I, the supervisor, will review the work and then submit the task back to the client through email and through online forms. So the live interactions are and can be accomplished through teleconferences and shoulder surfing, and kind of like what we're doing right now. So okay, so this is why, you know, working at Access to Online exposes these inmates to actual and current captured web pages from clients seeking the remediation, and as an analyst, we all work with a variety of web tools and software applications to fulfill our duties, and this has all been downloaded to their computer through their local area network. And this interaction keeps us up to date with technology at some level, and allows us to hone those multiple computer skills that can then be used upon release. So a position with Access to Online would then be made available, helping to, when they release, helping to alleviate those many issues an inmate normally has to face in regards to employment and financial stability upon release. So, and for that, they do work from home or anywhere with a Wi-Fi, because all of this work with the task-based system, the e-taskboard, and those things are all supporting the virtual workforce through tasks. So let's see. So we have another little movie that may or may not work because of the audio situation that we have. So the only, yeah, I'm going to assume that you guys can't hear her because I've cut the audio of this. So tell you what, I'm going to take a shot at fixing this problem by muting this phone and making this okay, so hopefully we're back. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Miss Susan Corbett.
As an inmate for 17 years, I had little to no exposure to internet use prior to my incarceration. The advancements and access to information that the internet provided would now be lost to me forever, or so I thought. I knew that learning current technology would be key to a successful future when I'm released after 25 plus years. Access to Online has helped me by providing a job requiring skills which I did not currently have, but had the desire to learn. My supervisors and coworkers have offered patience and encouragement as I've learned how to remediate PDF documents and how to perform specific tasks. Having this job makes me confident that I'll be able to function in the world as it is today. Thank you for this Access to Online.
What? What'd you say?
Okay, so next on this is going to be Juliet McShane, and I think what we need to do is to put this back on. Okay, so now we go to the next slide, which is from Miss Shamsuddin. Oh, I might as well have just kept this thing there.
Hello, Peter. Sorry to interrupt. Unfortunately, we're not hearing the audio on these videos, so you might want to
You're not?
skip any future ones. Yeah, unfortunately not.
Hey, I didn't realize that because we were able to when I turned my my phone on mute. So what we'll do is we'll just tell you what, we'll zip through those for now and figure out something else to do in the future for next time. So what we have now is we've got a few words that I hope you can hear from Miss Fivia Sharapov.
Prior to my incarceration in 2008, I used the internet for various reasons, like Google, TurboTax, online banking, AOL email, instant messaging, Facebook, Netflix, Fandango, etc. My resources were infinite, and I was up to date with technology. Currently, as an inmate, I'm limited to internet access, which is only via Telemate tablet. Its restrictions consist to only a few sites such as iHeartRadio, weather, movies, and email systems. Having prior knowledge to the internet, computers, and cell phones has helped me to navigate easier and stress-free on these tablets. With the length of time that I have served, I haven't been exposed to all the new advanced technology, electronic devices, apps, websites, and all the new sites that are out there. However, working for Access to Online has given me a glimpse of this interaction to the new modern world.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to zip right past the we're going to zip past the videos for now, and at the end we're going to show you where you can go to get all of those videos with the correct sound and everything working. So what we're going to do now is talk about how these barriers were overcome. So when an adult in custody thinks of barriers, they're usually, how will they be involved in the lives of those they left behind? What can be done with their time, and how much will the system invest in their rehabilitation? So there's a quote from one of our analyst inmates here. Simply imagine the greater benefits that could be gained and put to life-changing use, if only for a little more access. So these technologies give inmates life skills that they can take with them after prison. However, the internet provides a precious resource that would open doors of opportunity and give valuable stake in things such as learning, navigation skills, and so on. one of the major contributors to alleviate the overwhelming national recidivism rate is to educate inmates so they can one day become part of a functioning community that they as citizens can now support. Internet access gives more opportunities for a better education by resourcing libraries outside the facility, having valuable research for term papers, theories, and dissertations, and to have the same opportunities that represents the actual pool of students already on their own pathways. So internet experience would allow them to have these small advantages to re-enter the workforce. I consider actually maybe a significant advantage these days. And access to online libraries and colleges, and to post resumes while they're applying for employment and benefits, to research for living arrangements and doctor appointments, and communicating with their children's school and teachers, banking, and a great deal more that we take for granted in our daily lives on the outside. So I guess in closing, I'd like to say that in today's modern times, this means staying current with technology. There just is no other alternative. So much is done online that an understanding of how to use and navigate the internet is essential to transitioning into most communities, and in this case, to really give these inmates a seat at our nation's digital table when they parole. So there is, in fact, a direct correlation between access to information and the ability to better oneself while we, as inmates, live in an environment that is regulated and restricted in numerous ways. And it's still beneficial to all parties involved to promote avenues of correction and growth. So these are the analyst inmates who work for Access to Online, and you've heard from most of them in terms of either the problems that they face without much internet access, certainly not live unsupervised access, and then the progress that they've made through what resources that we do have available to actually become talented internet accessibility specialists without live internet access. And there we have it for oh yeah, that's a little bit of eye candy they produced. And presumably now we will see our closing slide. And as you can tell, we do welcome questions at this point, comments, feedback. You can certainly contact me there. And what I would suggest for the attendees is go to this URL, and on the top left you'll see a tab for videos. And there's two videos there, one that talks about what we do here, and then there's another one, it's this short one for 4 minutes about why we do it. And that video is a collection of all the videos that we had in snippets here for this presentation that you didn't get the audio for. So if you go and watch that video, you'll get the whole thing. You won't have missed anything that didn't work in the presentation. So at this point, I'm open for questions.
Well, Peter, thank you very much for this very unique presentation. We don't have a lot of time for questions left, but maybe one, and that is, how was this initiative received by others in the correctional facility, either officials or inmates?
Okay, what I can tell you is that we're one of the few places in the country where you can say inmate, internet, and income in the same sentence, and we are being watched. And I can tell you that most everyone that we deal with in the correctional world is actually quite supportive. This comes from the legislator on down. There's a lot of motivation that's coming from our legislators saying we need to fix this access problem. We have to stay mindful of the laws that govern prisons, but we have to figure out a way that we can give inmates more internet access, first for their education, because education has really gone online pretty much wholesale, and for work. Just about every business, even the brick and mortar ones now, have a component to their business that requires internet access of some kind. And the prisons and the prison industries, these folks are all very mindful, and they're looking at what we're doing. And since we've only been doing it for 2 years, without any security violations, they're looking at it as a success. And we're talking about replication to other institutions, and I'm optimistic. I see this opening the doors to quite a few inmates to get a level of internet access that they've never seen, and still within the boundaries of the security protocol that we have to follow.
I think we can ask one more question with a quick answer. Do you want to select one, Elmira?
I remember you mentioning that inmates are unable to touch mouse or keyboard. Is that correct?
On a live, unsupervised internet connection, that is correct.
So my question is, how is interaction performed, and are there assistive technologies like screen readers available for inmates that require it?
Oh yeah. Now remember, they can use the mouse and keyboard and all of the devices, including screen readers, on their computer, as long as that computer does not have live, unmonitored internet access.
Ah, that's clear.
That's how they do their work.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear that it's a question of on the one hand, you've got accessibility to the internet as a whole, but I was very curious about accessibility in terms of using the devices themselves, and that must pose some challenges in itself.
The only challenge we really had, and still do, is how to make accurate copies of websites where there's quite a few where there's a lot of dynamic content going on. And over the 2 years we've been in business, we've gotten rather good at that. And it actually helps us when we're auditing a website in one surprising way, in that we can tell people, here's the report that the violation list and what we call a summary of webmasters accessibility remediations. These are the deliverables, and we can say this is as of a certain date, because that's the date we use those tools to make a local copy of everything that we're auditing. And that's important because these websites are routinely in a constant state of flux. So this way, people get an understanding of which point in time we're talking about. Not like we wanted to, but that's the only way we can. But we've gotten good at doing the capturing, if we will, a whole lot better than just right-clicking the mouse and doing a save as of each page.
That's really interesting. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much to all of you for doing this in some difficult circumstances, and I think it sounds like an amazing initiative, and I wish you all the best with it, as do all of us at ID24. So thank you very much once again. If you liked this session, please hit the YouTube like button, and don't forget you can subscribe to youtube.com/inclusivedesign24 for future notifications. Reminder that Inclusive Design 24 is brought to you with thanks to our gold supporters, Barclays Access and Intopia, our silver supporters, Adobe and SiteImprove, and our bronze supporters, Samsung Internet, DQ Systems, and the Paciella Group, with captions by MyClearText. We will be back on the hour with Claudio Louis Vera and Ioana Talalasi. Sorry, I think I pronounced your name wrong. They will be talking about accessibility in emerging countries. So come back on the hour.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.